Hello friends, welcome. Friends, we all know that TRAI has come out with a recommendation for 37 gigahertz band spectrum auction, right? And the band is 37 to 37.5 gigahertz and 37.5 to 40 gigahertz. And they haven't proposed auctioning of 42 gigahertz band spectrum, right? So this recommendation just came couple of days back, and to the reaction of this recommendation, the operators are saying that they don't need any more millimeter wave spectrum, they need mid-band spectrum, right? That's what they are saying, right? TRAI in their recommendation has given a logic for valuation of this 37 gigahertz spectrum which they have put out for auction, right? And it is linked to the millimeter wave spectrum which was sold in year 2022. Okay. Now friends, why I am doing this video today? I am doing this video today to give you the facts, actually what the situation is on ground, and whatever is spoken and whatever method is used for valuation of spectrum, is it correct? Or there are something which we have to read between the lines. That's the whole purpose of this video, and you will find that if you go through this video and if you remain with me till the end, you will find that how inconsistent that our valuation approach of spectrum has been. And that is why we are in this state of situation where spectrum prices have been increasing and the operators are loaded with so much amount of debt which the government itself is not able to control. Because government hasn't been responsibly involved in valuing spectrum with a very clear motivation for the operators to bid responsibly. Because the way they value spectrum, it looks like an autopilot. If any operator does not bid in a particular round of spectrum auction, and if he wants that particular spectrum in the next year or maybe sometimes in future, then there is no way for that operator to get that spectrum at the same reference price in which it was available, which the other bidder has taken. The price will definitely keep on increasing at a value which is determined by the regulator, which is linked to the SBI PLR. There is no way. So therefore, he doesn't have any option but to take that spectrum, whether he needs it or not. And that is exactly what has happened with the 26 gigahertz band. Now, if you see 26 gigahertz band, that band has been lying unutilized and there is no hope for this band to be utilized in near future. And there are lots of spectrum in 26 gigahertz band which the operators are holding. Bharti is holding 800 megahertz of spectrum in all the circles. Reliance Jio is holding 1 gigahertz of 26 gigahertz band in all the circles, and Vodafone Idea and BSNL is also holding sizable amount. Therefore, opening up another round of spectrum in the band which is higher than 26 gigahertz band, 37 gigahertz band is actually higher than 26 gigahertz band, does not make any sense. But the question comes, which we will investigate in this video, is first, why the operator bid for 26 gigahertz band and are not using it? What is the point in bidding? Because they have spent some money, whatever may be the amount they have spent, but there is a money which has flown out of the pocket of the operator and they have not bid, right? And what is the logic for the TRAI to value 37 gigahertz band spectrum, and whether that valuation method that TRAI has used is correct? It gives the operator motivates the operator to bid responsibly. So two objectives. One is, why did they bid for 26 gigahertz band? Why they are not interested in bidding for the 37 gigahertz band, right? Because they have bid in 26 gigahertz band, and why they are not interested, and what logic TRAI used to value the 37 gigahertz band, which will give you a window to peek as to what kind of faulty valuation mechanism TRAI is using to value spectrum. Okay, so that's what we are going to do in this video. So let's start, because I have spent a lot of time in giving you an opening overview as to what we are going to do. Now let's do the following. Let's go straight to the intent of the operators bidding for 26 gigahertz band and not using it. So friends, what I have done is, I actually have done many articles in past. I've written many articles in the past. So one of the articles which are extremely important One of the article, many articles, one article is very, very important, which says that will 5G impact SUC? If yes, how? And this article I have written in April 25th April 2022, just before the auction started, right? So here what I have done is I have given you a concept of how spectrum usage charge is calculated. Now friends, when this auction started in year 22, before that there was a press release which the PIB came out with as a part of their telecom reform. And in this press release, there were various announcements which PIB has made. And one important announcement which I will like your attention to be drawn into is this, which said that no spectrum usage charge for spectrum acquired in future auction. No spectrum usage charge. So it means that the spectrum usage charge should become zero, right? When you say no spectrum usage charge for future spectrum auction, means all the spectrum that the operator will acquire, they have to pay zero SUC? No, it does not mean that, because there are lot of nuances which the people are not aware of, and therefore all these headlines actually go misinterpreted. Let me explain what basically it means, and many of you might be already aware of it. So for that, you have to understand what the concept of spectrum usage charge is. After understanding the concept of spectrum usage charge, then only we will want to understand that why did they bid for 26 GHz band and why it is kept idle and why they are not interested in 37 GHz band. So what is the concept of SUC? The concept of SUC is that for each and every auction, the government came out with a different percentage number of spectrum usage charge. And that percentage number was specific to a particular spectrum band. It was not an integrated SUC applicable for all spectrum band. Now, the problem was that it was not possible to segregate or take the revenue which the operator, let's say operator has got a total revenue of 1,000 crores. You cannot map a portion of that revenue of the 1,000 crores to a specific band for which a particular SUC, spectrum usage charge, was mentioned in the notice of invitation of auction, which is the tender document on which the auction happens. So what happened was, as the auction went on for 2010, 2012, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2021, 22 and 24, there were various SUC rates which got attached to various spectrum bands. Even same bands had two different rates. So what happened was the DoT came out with a weighted average SUC formula. And this weighted average SUC formula is very simple. The quantum of spectrum that you're holding in a particular band, the SUC rate for that particular band, and then you kept on adding like that and then divide by the rotor contour spectrum. In that way, even if there is an SUC rate for a particular band which is zero, still the overall SUC rate is going to be greater than zero. It won't go to zero, right? So you understand the concept. Now what happened was that these different bands actually were not given different weights. Like for example, if you understand how inflation works, there is a general index and then there are various buckets on which different types of you can say index are assigned. Means all started with 100 and the different buckets, actually the price of different buckets have been rising on a different level, right? Because they are being measured at the reference rate of 100. Similarly, what happens is that but these buckets, let's say housing or let's say food, they are integrated into the general index with using a different weights. They are not given the same weights. Not each and every bucket is not given the same weight. They are all given different weights. So, but in case of spectrum, there is a difference. In case of spectrum, the weights are all same for different band. It is same for 700 MHz band, 800 MHz band, 900 MHz band, 2100 MHz band, 3500 MHz band, 26 GHz. All bands will have same weights, and that is where the distortion is there. Now, if you happen to buy spectrum in a higher frequency band, let's say 26 GHz band, and the weight associated with that particular band is zero, then what will happen? You are going to pull down the overall SUC rate by a significant margin. Why? Because all these numbers, let's say this is 10 megahertz, this is 10 megahertz, B is 10 megahertz, C is 10 megahertz, and D is, let's say, 1000 megahertz, right? Then what will happen? D 1000 multiplied by Z is 0. It will become 0, but in the denominator, the number will become pretty large. Therefore, the total SUC rate is going to drop substantially down because of this equal weights for each and every band. And that happened in case of the millimeter wave. And millimeter wave became an ideal candidate for the operators to drive their SUC rates down. And that is why they bid for the millimeter wave band. They would not have bid for millimeter wave band, because if an operator is bidding for a particular spectrum band, they won't keep the spectrum band vacant for 3-4 years by doing nothing and not asking for more spectrum in the same band if the band was so much useful for them and they bid so much high quantum of spectrum in that band. They did it to reduce their SUC rates. And that is why when you see these calculations I have already done, I can paste a link of this article in this in the description of this video. So if you look at this, what I have done is I have made some calculations here, which kind of gives you a flavor as to how much the operators save on a DCF level by bidding for 26 gigahertz band. Because it is important to understand that what kind of value that the operator derived for by bidding in the 26 gigahertz band. Because the true value of spectrum emanates for its importance, means how much cash flow the operator is going to generate from that particular band. That should be the valuation metric for a particular spectrum band, right? So what happened was, because of this nuance that 26 gigahertz band has large quantum of spectrum and it kind of drove the SUC price down, they resulted in a huge saving for the operator. So what I did was, I did some calculations, right, as to what would be the SUC rate saving for each and every operators. You can go through this chart and I will paste a link as I said. So for Bharti, the saving was 2.261 crores, right? If you see here, I have already put out all the numbers here, the current spectrum, the new spectrum, the current SUC rate, the new SUC rate, the current AGR, and the current SUC, the SF main spectrum, spectrum charge outflow, and the new spectrum charges, which are going to be definitely much fraction of this. And I have calculated here, this was the current is this much, the current value is this much, and the new is 233.25 crores. So there is a saving of this much. For Reliance, the saving was 2.078 crores, and Vodafone, the saving was 640 crores. Now, on the base of this saving, what I did was I did a DCF net cash flow calculation, right? After the 2020, for the 2022 auction, means how much they are going to save on a DCF level. So, what is DCF level? DCF level means that if your auction payment payout is for a particular value, right? If the total payout, if you see here, I have calculated the auction payment for that particular year, 2022 year, if the auction payout is this much and SUC saving on account of participating in the auction is this much, then what will happen is that the net auction outflow is this much. Because it is a deferred payment, I just calculated, I just took some number and I calculated. I put the saving in this particular column, and then I have, what I have done is that saving, SUC saving adjusted for revenue growth. Revenue growth I have made an assumption because the SUC is going to increase on an yearly basis, and the net auction outflow is going to be the subtraction of this number and this number, right? So this is in this particular column, and the DCF is going to be based on a certain discount factor, and I've calculated here and added for 20 years, and it came out to be minus 2.1 crores for Bharti. For Reliance Jio, because their auction outflow was higher because of their 800 megahertz band, 700 megahertz band participation, their DCF outflow was 46 crores, and they end up paying actually in the auction 82,000 crores, right? And for Vodafone, the DCF outflow was 6,000 crores. So can you see that in the 2022 auction, by participating in that auction, Bharti actually end up spending zero. It is the government which gave Bharti money. It turns out like that, right? Because their DCF value turned out to be negative. right? So it was look like that you participate in the auction and government paying money, because the government is now going to lose license fee, spectrum fees, right? Because the outflow of spectrum fee now reduced because of them participating in the auction. So Bharti must have paid 42,000 crores, but they end up saving how much? On a DCF value of 2.1 k crores, which means government paid money from the pocket to Bharti. Since Reliance bid very high because of 700 megahertz, they are actually end up paying 46,000 crore, which is roughly half. And Vodafone have paid of 6,000 crores. Their saving was 6,000. So they might have paid higher, but their DCF value was 6,000 crores. So because of this issue of our spectrum usage charge being pegged at 0 and same weights assigned to different spectrum band, the 2022 auction for the operators turned out to be a bonanza. Right? Do you understand now why millimeter wave was taken at that particular point of time? The millimeter wave was taken because of this reason, that the operators saved huge amount of money in the discounted cash flow, in form of discounted cash flow, by participating in 26 gigahertz band, where it is still lying vacant. And why the operator doesn't want to participate in a new round of spectrum auction? Because the gains won't be that large. Because if you look at this formula which I showed you earlier, this formula, right, the denominator is already very high. This denominator which I showed you, this denominator is already very high. So if you add another block which is almost equal to what you got in the 2022 auction in 26 gigahertz band, there won't be much significant reduction. Means, let's say if the SUC rate of Bharti is 0.4%, it will become 0.2%. Earlier it was 4%. From 4% it dropped to 0.4%. Now it is just dropping from 0.4% to 0.2%. And that is why these people are no longer interested in taking more millimeter wave band, because millimeter wave band makes no sense to be used in the current context in which the telecom industry is, because the coverage is very, very low, the device cost is very, very high, and then you can't increase the tower density. The tower density, increasing tower density in our country is a big pain, because now you have to put poles. The poles have to be managed. There could be theft. They have to put fiber optical cable in all the poles. So it is impossible, or virtually impossible, in a country like India to deploy equipment, base station in poles and in towers, which is of a higher density than what they are currently, the model that they are currently approaching. So nobody wants millimeter wave band. They want spectrum in the lower frequency band. But there is some kind of game which is being played, which lower frequency band, because people are focused on 6 gigahertz band, and my understanding is 6 gigahertz band is a useless spectrum. And why, I do not know why the operators are putting all their guns in 6 gigahertz band. They should be asking for additional 300 megahertz in 3.5 gigahertz band, which will give them more value. I have no clue why the operators are doing that. It does not make any sense. I have been repeating this again and again, 6 gigahertz spectrum is virtually going to be a waste in India, because the tower density has to increase by 3.5 times to be able to get a same carpet to carpet coverage with 3.5 gigahertz spectrum. So friends, this is the story why operators bid for 26 gigahertz band and why they are not interested in more millimeter wave band to be taken in the next round of auction. So friends, I think we have already spent 18 minutes or 19 minutes in this video. Looks like the second part of the video, which is the valuation part of the video, which will give you an insight as to what kind of distortive valuation techniques which TRAI is using to value spectrum band, and why that technique has resulted in escalation of price of spectrum, and that has has a direct implication of operators accumulating so much amount of debt. I think that part I'm going to cover in the next video of this series. That will be much more useful. Otherwise, it will be too much to digest in one single video, right? So friends, I'll stop here and I'll come back with this next version of the video probably today itself. I record that video and you will understand, because there will be a lot of things to be spoken about in this video. It will become very difficult to cover in this part, right? So thank you for your time listening till the end, and I'll come back with this video as soon as I get time today. Thank you very much. Thanks again.